Welcome back to Einstein Media Center, your one-stop shop for all unnecessary media dissection. Today we are joined by a very special group of guests as always. Please give a big welcome to Kaiser and Dov of the band Hayloft.
Yeah, that's us.
I think the Haken shirt threw you off. It's just similar enough, and you're trying to read it off, and I get you.
Hakenloft.
Yeah, if only, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's the show we need to play.
Honestly.
It did throw me off. Can you guys give a little bit of a background about who you are, the type of music you play, and what's brought you up to this point in 2025?
Dov will be happy to answer that.
I'm Dov. We are Hayloft. We've been together for a while, longer than we've liked to admit, considering we just had our first full length a couple months back.
Mm-hmm.
But COVID hit us hard, as it did a lot of people. We've been playing music. We like to play a lot of. Someone described us as prog adjacent at one point, and we love that. We've gone for like indie prog. We've had a bunch of people try to do something, and we've liked most of the descriptors. So we go for like a vibe that's just weird enough to be cool, but also like accessible enough to be accessible and fun to listen to.
Like your mom could listen to it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
My mom has.
Nice.
Nice. And I do a lot of the songwriting and play guitar for our live shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm Kaiser. I also do a lot of the songwriting. They call me the paints guy because I'm the guy who just throws the paint at the wall, and most of it's shit, but some of it's good. There's like nuggets.
Yeah, it's very fun having him throw paint at the wall in the studio, and like occasionally, if he throws 20 blobs of paint at the wall, it'll be like, yeah, those are 10-ish good ideas. But then sometimes they'll be like, there was one good idea. Like,
and let's just wipe the rest.
It's just like, but you'll have a streak. You'll have a good streak and get a lot of stuff. So
That's true.
We love our paint guy.
So yeah, I'm Kaiser, and I do vocals and guitar and keys and the occasional trumpet.
Yeah.
So you two are really the main brain of the band. Do you have other members that you either have play like hired guns or like a more stable live band that you play with?
So when we started, it was actually a trio. It was us two, and then this guy named Mike, who also did a lot of the songwriting and, multi-instrumentalist, really, drums and all this other stuff. But he moved to New Jersey, and I think he's in Philly now.
I think so, yeah.
And so that's not going to work. So we got a new drummer and a new bassist. We got Emilio on bass last year. He's doing great. Love that guy. And then Paul Owen just joined in February, March.
Yeah, somewhat recent ad.
Yeah.
He's been great.
On drums, he's phenomenal.
And so not hired guns, but newly acquired in the grand scheme of things. And we're really happy with them.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about the type of music you played, and I actually sent your debut, your most recent, whatever we'll call it, to my older brother because I had a bit of trouble pinning down what you guys sounded like. A few of my descriptors were sometimes kind of sounds like Modest Mouse, sometimes has like the chorus of a Bayside, a lot of 90s Dream Theater influence. And
What?
One of my favorite ones that I came up with was Ben Folds, If He Was Evil.
Yeah.
Cool.
Evil Ben Folds, dude.
I'll
Hell
take
yeah.
that, yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about, bringing all those inspirations together to create this eclectic and weird but cool but also accessible sound that I think you have done a good job with?
We've kind of always been people back to when we were a trio and even to now with our four, where we kind of wear our influences on our sleeve. We know who we like, we know what we're about, we know where we come from, and love that. And frankly, if you add up all what was that, 5 people then. We have like a 5 very distinct circles of our Venn diagram of influences, that we all appreciate the other circles that we all are, but we all come at it with, hey, what if we did more like this? Oh, cool. Let's try to do it more indie. Let's do it a little more metal. Let's do it a little bit more weird. Let's bring in something like a I don't know, Panic at the Disco-y or something. And we're all very, very happy to say yes and basically, time after time after time. And so that's kind of how we arrive at it. And we all collectively say, no, that was the best one that we did. We shouldn't take that this way. We have a song, No Wonder, that went through so many iterations when we were writing it. Like, not even you wouldn't recognize them.
Yeah.
Various keys. We did one that was, I think, just a solo guitar and voice. We did one that was a gospel oriented.
Yeah.
We did an R&B. We did a sort of snarky puppy-esque vibe. And then we landed just randomly, because we said none of that's working, to this like distorted guitars. And we wrote a specific line, the main line for it, and it changed it. And we all said, nope, that's the one. Let's stick with it. And that's just how the whole album is for us.
It's funny you bring up No Wonder. That is specifically what I said. Sounds like Evil Ben Folds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. I get that.
So what is that writing process like? Like, how do you not yes and yourself into oblivion? What makes you land on something and you're like, yeah, this is going to be the one?
So I would like to say that in some cases we just settled on something. But that wasn't true. We literally like fought each other until we all liked enough of the song to give it the green light. And sometimes that meant starting from scratch again, you know? But I think that's how we got our unique sound, which for this record, Tomato Tomato, is like Dov and his like metal sort of prog Dream Theater-ish. Mike at the time, who kind of has that indie folk sort of, you know, think like 2008, 2009, like the Bon Iver era, you know, like the Dodos, you know, and then whatever the fuck I do. I'd say mine is more like a Jeff Buckley or like Radiohead, listening to a lot of Nothing But Thieves stuff. So yeah, when all those influences come together and we're all happy with each of our input, that's the sound.
Yeah, I think another part is that we don't have sort of an ego. Once we put our idea into the world, we can listen to it and be like, oh, that didn't work. Or someone could knock it down and be like, that wasn't great. And then we have enough of a wherewithal to be like, you know what? You're right. Your idea was better. My bad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
So building up that kind of rapport, I know you said you've been playing music together, at least the two of you, for 10 years now. Was it always as Hayloft, or were there previous iterations of different bands before the actual formation of Hayloft?
Let me do some math real quick. I might have overspoke by 10 years. It might be 7.
Yeah, roughly 7 or 8, I would
7 or
think.
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when this project started. We were called Avos for a while. And then we realized people probably won't remember that. And so we were like, what's a real word that isn't already taken, which is hard to do in today's musical landscape. And we landed on Hayloft, named after the Mother Mother song, if you know it.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. But it always has been this, but the first year or so was us trying to find the sound, because the sound we're talking about and the sound that you hopefully have heard, those of you at home, didn't come naturally. We had to find it and say, okay, what band are we? What kind of project are we? What kind of music is going to be put out by this? So we did take a little bit of time to, I think our first sketches of some of the songs were really straight ahead, didn't really reach too much. But then we kept saying, oh, sprinkle in a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until we finally liked it enough to say, you know what, open wide the floodgates, let's fucking get after it. So yeah.
Very cool. So did each of you play a lot of music growing up? Like, has been playing in bands always been a part of your life? Can you speak a little bit about that musical journey that brought you to Hayloft now?
I started when I was 8 years old. I bugged my mom to let me learn piano, and like any mother of any 8-year-old, she was like, "Nah, ask me again tomorrow." And so she was hoping I would forget, and I didn't. And after several weeks of like tugging on her pants, like, "Hey, mom, she was like, "Okay." And so we found like the cheapest used upright piano, you know, for like $100 or something, maybe less.
Yeah.
And I took lessons from like a lady around the corner. Like I walked to it, you know. Anyways, 8 years old, and then it was trumpet, and then it was guitar, and then bass, and then some other things. It was church bands as a teenager, and then college bands, and then in my 20s, I spent some time as a hired gun. We're in Nashville, so it's easy to be a hired gun. And now we're here.
Yeah. Similar, but very different over here. I started piano lessons as well. That was the other way around. My parents just needed something for my spastic ass to do. So they were like, "Hey, you're taking piano lessons at like 6 or 7." And I started. It was great, and but a little boring, you know, playing the Bach, Beethoven as a kid. So then I transitioned into bass and guitar and fell in love with music. We always make the joke that's just all the time. So I found Dream Theater. That was what made me fall in love with music. That was my initial like passion. And so I found them, and then I never looked back. I dropped all extracurriculars. I said, school's fine. And so I went to a really good music school for high school, then went to school for music in college, and then just bands ever since, basically. It's been great. A lot of different styles.
Nice. So this is very exciting for me. I also started playing piano when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So that is one of the things that I love about your music so much. It is so piano heavy, and to me it adds just so much more depth to the style of music you play. So like here, like elements of like garage rock and indie and prog and all these things. Like, is it I was going to ask, like, is it conscious for you to throw in piano? But I imagine it's just like you both play piano. Of course, there's going to be piano at this point.
Well, for Tomato, most of those songs originated in my brain. And so, to be totally honest, it was just whatever instrument was closest to me when I felt like the impulse. So, and well, that's not actually entirely true, because I wrote Dogs on guitar.
True. Yeah.
But for No Wonder, I wrote that on piano. For Dogs, I guess I wrote it on guitar, even though we play piano live.
Yeah.
So, to be totally honest with you, so sorry to bust your bubble. The only song on the record that was written on piano is No Wonder, which is probably...
Well, I mean, when we produce these things, I typically think in textures. What do we want to hear? What do we want to fill in? And so you'll see on the record of 10 songs, off the top of my head, I would have to think of 10 of them. Maybe 9 or all 10 have organ on them, because that's just one of my favorite texture instruments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always going to be there. And then when we want that sort of mid-rangey, chordal, but also like percussive to give you something to like connect with, that's piano to me. And so we just throw it in, whether it's a main instrument or a secondary instrument. I love it. It's such a versatile instrument. It's been around for a reason.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true.
It's a good point. It's funny whenever anybody asks me, like a lot of my cousins are having children, and it's like I was like, if you want them to care about music, piano. You gotta have your kid play piano. It's the greatest instrument in the world.
100%. And for me, it helps me. It helps me to learn theory on piano,
Yes.
as opposed to people like these wizards who learn it on guitar or something. It's like, why would you do that? You could play a G here and a G here and a G here. That's crazy. That doesn't make any sense. On a piano, it's always the same looking G. It's just higher or lower.
It makes it so much easier to learn theory. I totally agree with you. Like having it be a visual instrument is so like, maybe because we were all kids when we learned, like it just helps so much.
Yeah.
To sidebar a little bit, the other thing I'm excited to hear was Dream Theater to me was also one of the most important bands. So have to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you talk maybe about an era or an album from Dream Theater that is like either very important or inspires you when you're writing?
It's definitely early-ish to early mid for me. I think the last like real album I cared deeply about for them would be Black Cloud Silver Linings, but even then it was like on its way down. For me it's like Images and Words, Awake, all the way up to Octavarium. I have some really big Train of Thought loves about it. But oddly enough, I can think of some Constant Motion off of Chaos, Systematic Chaos, that I referenced very like just abruptly. So it's really just that era. When I think of Dream Theater, in particular, that era of Dream Theater, they had two elements that were really important to me, and it was being incredibly skilled musicians. That no one's going to take that away from any of them. What they are able to do on their instruments is just sort of not think, and then notes come out. But the second thing that's important is that they had songwriting back then. To me, their songwriting never wavered in that era of things. And so when I think about writing, at least for Hayloft, it's keeping that, let's do something interesting, but don't get lost in the sauce, as it were. I have a really big pet peeve when it comes to musicians and music, and that's for various things to come like masturbatory, like just kind of like, hey, look what I can do. And yeah, it's really impressive. I probably can't do that, but I don't want to. I want to make music that people can connect to. So that's when I look at that era versus other eras or other bands, it really is like, okay, we need to make it connect with people.
It's funny. When I spoke to Bryson from Topiary Creatures, we had a very similar discussion of how do you like find not only yourself engaged, but maybe audience members who care more about music theory or are more into the, I guess, to your point, masturbatory excursions that bands go on, but also write to a more broad audience who just wants to hear a good song. How do you find yourself trying to satisfy both groups? And is there ever a conscious effort to sway in either one direction or the other?
I'd say I'm usually the one trying to simplify and make it accessible, and Dov's usually trying to take it to an extreme that we have to pull back a little bit. But it's not always that case. Sometimes it's me.
I learned very early on that I had to pull back, and that was my songwriting ability for Hayloft. It came in for the Dogs intro line, which is this just constant barrage of eighth notes, which not very fast. I'm not a guitar god or anything, right? But like it is this constant eighth note sort of chordal etude almost, that when I was writing it, I was just like, okay, let's push as far as I want it to go. And then before I show the guys, let me pull back just slightly. And then I showed it to them, and I don't think we changed it since from that. So that was a moment I remember very distinctly, being like, oh, okay, I have to push and then slight tug back, and
it's still challenging though.
And it's still very
So Emilio came in, our bassist, last year, and the dude is not primarily a bassist. Like he's a guitarist. He's like opened for Muse for 3 months in Europe. Like he's done some shit, you know. But anyway, he's playing bass for us, and he has to do that lick on bass for Dogs. Da, 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 da. And he doesn't play bass, the poor guy. And so
shredding it.
like the second time in this basement, he was playing it with us, and we got done practicing it, and he looked at us and he was like, "All right, I have a question." We're like, "What?" He said, "Which one of you wrote this lick?" And Dov goes, "Guilty." And he looked Dov in the eyes and he goes, "Fuck you, dude." Made him work, you know?
Yeah.
But it's
But
so
I-
accessible.
Yeah, but I think to answer your question, it is mindset wise, at least, the ability to come back to it and look at it from fresh eyes and say, "Nah, it's a little too much. Why did you do that?" And by you, us, like,
Mhm.
why did we do that? And if you can find a reason to say, "Well, yeah, it sounds good," then good. If it's like, if it loses you, if there's no like rhythm that you can latch onto or anything, it's okay. How do we get that feel but make it better?
I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's interesting to hear you just be so willing to like either scrap something or rework something. I think that takes a lot of maturity when it comes to your songwriting, and just being like I don't want to, maybe selfless isn't the word, but just being open to hear that criticism and take it in stride. I think that's really important, and you know, it's good that you two challenge each other. I feel like you could get into a yes man type of situation where each of you just are like, "You're so great, guy. You're so
I don't want that. Get out. Tell me I suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for calling that out, because that was actually a really early conversation that we had.
Mhm.
We're eating Mexican food, you know, talking about this project and what it was going to be like. And they were like, "All right, we can do this 2 ways. We can either do it where like, Kaiser, it's your thing, and we just play the parts that you give us and we make a record, or we could do it where we each have a third, an equal third, and we see what happens." And I said, B, 100% B. That's gonna be way better. Are you kidding me? It's not even close. And so it has been way better.
Can we talk a little bit about what your experience was like laying down all these tracks? I guess when were they all like completely written, and then how long did it take to record and get this album out?
A few of the songs I had written as early as 2012, 2013.
Oh wow.
Those songs are Banner Fair, Dragon Lamps, and Rosebud. I was living overseas. I was in the Peace Corps, and I just had an acoustic guitar, and so I wrote those songs. And Banner Fair and Rosebud pretty much haven't really changed from what I showed y'all to what it is for the most part. There's a lot of textures and stuff, those organs, you know, and some sound bites, but Dragonlance has changed a lot. But the other songs were written probably 2017, 2018-ish, maybe 2019.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, we spent a lot of time at their house in Dov and Mike's studio, just for hours with instruments and time.
Speaking of Banner Fair, that was actually a song I had some questions about. I felt like it was a bit distinct from the rest of the album. Can you just talk? So it sounds like you're in the Peace Corps. Can you talk a little bit what writing that was like, and maybe whether it was musically or life experiences that kind of shaped what that song was?
Sure. That was the most free I have ever been, and probably will ever be, you know, because you're just detached from everything. You're 10,000 miles away, you know, in a country where you're effectively like illiterate and mute and deaf until you can learn the language, you know. And so I got to take all that energy that is normally spent on like interacting with life and put it into a song. And so that's what came out, and it has loose lyrical themes about like plants and nature and growth, and like in my mind that big climax is like a like a growth of like a plant coming out of the ground for the first time. Anyways, loosely, but to be totally honest, I just wanted to write something that maybe was less focused on actual words and lyrics and mostly on sounds that just I thought sounded good together, you know, like Justin Vernon from Bon Iver talks about that. Like he doesn't even use real words sometimes. He just makes them up because he likes the sounds, you know. Jonesy from Cedar Road does the same thing with his Hoplandic stuff. So I tried that, and that's what came out.
So are lyrics and like lyrical themes something you do focus on when writing these songs? Is there ever like a want or a need to try and tie a theme throughout an album or a set of few songs on an album?
Me now in 2025, yes, and that is what we will do for the second record. But at the time, not intentionally, no. I think if you look at the record, you'll see definitely some themes of like calling out shit that's fucked up and being really angsty about it. I don't know.
You had a lot of personal growth.
A lot of personal growth.
Songs in there.
Yeah. It's a lot about. Yeah, I'd say that's one of them too.
Yeah. We do have some musical motifs though that I intentionally put into a lot of them.
Yeah.
I think we have the same line in maybe 6 of the 10 songs, 5 of the 10 songs
Nice.
that are in there. That still breaks my heart we didn't get to all 10 of them. But you know what? I'm not angry. You're angry.
Even on the very first song.
Yeah, it's first and last. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and that's of course the down, 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 down. Yeah. That's it.
You mentioned, you know, plans for another album. I know you just released Tomato Tomato. Are you still writing or like continuously writing even after you know, deciding what those 10 songs were going to be for Tomato Tomato? What's that new writing process looking like?
We are. Like we opened this time off. It took longer than we wanted to get that out. So like we've had the songs at least sort of mostly there. And so in the meantime, we've just been writing. We have 2 songs that aren't off the record that are sort of mainstays for our live show, that are off of the second, whatever will be the second album, whenever that is. So we have 2 fully fledged songs already. If I had to guess, 6 more demos, roughly.
2 are really close.
Yeah, and a couple are really close. Hopefully we get to play those live soon too. That'd be so cool. But I'm really excited about them because to me, Tomato Tomato still has elements of us, you know, finding our sound, looking for our sound. And then we did find it and then get into it. But it still sort of has those artifacts of when we were looking. And like, as I said, we have those 3 songs that were written way before we even knew of each other's existence. So whereas now I think we found the sound, and now we're honing in on that sound and really getting like, okay, this is Hayloft, whatever that may be. And here we are.
There might be some changes though in the sound on the sophomore record because of the personnel changes.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Mike is out, Paul and Emilio are in. They come from very different backgrounds. Like Emilio's got a whole like resume full of Latin stuff that he's played in like Florida and all this stuff. And he's also got like a bunch of pop and rock stuff too. Paul on drums comes from a very like academic percussion background, like marimbas and stuff, in addition to Kit. So both really well-rounded musicians.
Yeah.
But maybe decidedly not indie folk, which is a third of the Venn diagram for Tomato Tomato, which is gone. So there will be the Hayloft sound, which is Dov and I's input, that won't change, but some of it will. And to me, that's the beauty of it. You know, the most frustrating critique I have of bands is when bands are like asked this question, what are you trying to sound like? And they say, you know, I'm trying to sound like this band or this style. And it's like, if you're trying to sound like something, I think you're doing it wrong. And that's just my hot take. I'm gonna get heat for that, but that's just my.
I mean, I think there's just a fine line of trying to sound like someone and then very much being influenced by them.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the sort of line you want to be on the correct side of.
Like no doubt, I've gotten so much feedback after one of our shows, or a lot of our shows. Feedback that I am probably influenced by Jeff Buckley, and that's certainly true. I love Grace and Sketches and all that stuff, but like, I'm also equally influenced by like Switchfoot, you know. So I don't know.
That's what Hayloft's trying to be.
That's right.
Come on now.
The new John Foreman, baby.
Yeah. You also
So-
get a lot of Brendan Urie.
That's true. I get a lot of
So,
Brendan
like,
Urie,
we got two different things.
which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hayloft 2.0, as we've been calling it, is going to be, I think, more exciting. And I love Tomato Tomato. I stand by that record. Very proud of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm really excited for the new stuff. It's fun to see people dancing to songs they've never heard before, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's funny you bring that concept up of trying to sound like someone, or just creating your own sound while wearing your influences on your sleeve. Like I said to you, I could pick up the Dream Theater influences. I could pick up some of the indie folk influences, but like I said, I had to outsource to my brother and be like, what does this sound like? I need help here. So I say that to say, like, I feel like you guys have crafted a very unique sound. And I think, again, it's also very mature of you to be like, okay, we got new members. We have new influences to add in now. Now we have like a new few different types of sounds. We got to work into the already what is, I guess, now 50% of the Hayloft sound. With that being said, one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys about is, I know you're in Tennessee, big music scene out in Nashville, but with the unique style of music that you play, what's it like getting booked on shows? What kind of bills are you guys generally playing these days?
I think it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, it's sometimes harder to like find the people that are going to be us, but then we actually kind of choose to look at it the other way, because if we book with a softer indie vibe, we have songs that match that, and we can sort of play a more indie set with some of the other stuff in. Or if we've played with a metal band, a full metal show, and it was us. And so we played our more distorted songs with some of the indie stuff. And so I think it's really actually exciting to put a show together and be able to say, oh, this is who we're playing with. Let's play to them, but also show a little bit of what else we can do. That's how I choose to look at it.
Yeah. I think when it comes to getting shows and playing with people, like I used to put a lot more weight into trying to match sounds with, you know, the bands that are on the bill and stuff. And that's important.
Mhm.
But what I found is much more important than that is just being nice, being a nice person. There's a bunch of ego in this business, and like the nicer you are, the nicer people are to you, and you get more shows.
Mhm.
And so that's been our experience. We just did our first out of state little weekends run. We went down to Birmingham and then Jackson, Mississippi. And that was just because we made some friends, and they were like, you should play these, you know, areas. And we were like, okay. And same with September is coming up. I don't know when this is going to air, but in a little while, we're going to do a Midwest tour. We're going to go to Indiana and then Chicago and then Detroit, because we played with some bands from Chicago and they were like, you should come play the Midwest. And we were like, bet. And so we're putting together a thing, you know? And so that's to me the beauty of like the DIY scene at this level. Like, yeah, at some point we'd love to be on a label and play the festivals and the bigger shows, like that'll come. But at this chapter, it's just like finding good people that also love music. And if they're your same sound, great. If they're not, great. It doesn't really matter to me as much.
So, how do you generally meet some of these bands that you're doing these weekender or smaller tours with? Is it just like you're throwing on a bill with them when they're in town and you make some connections? Is that how it generally goes?
Mainly, yeah. And if we come to their town, we may not even play with them there, but they connect us with a venue or a band, and we start to grow legs a little bit, as it were. So
You're doing this Midwest tour. Who are you going to be playing with?
the first night, it's going to be just us.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. That'll be cool. In Chicago and Detroit, I think we're still finalizing the bands. But yeah, that announcement will come pretty soon.
I guess you're doing these tours now. Tomato Tomato has been released. I know, so you have something in the tank. What is it going to look like for a release down the road for you guys?
Man, this is going to feel like a cop-out answer, but it's going to take us planning the release. We've been toying the music business is so freaking weird nowadays, and has been for a while, but it only continues to get weirder. So we've just been saying, okay, is it going to be just a bunch of singles scattered throughout? Is it going to be an EP that we're going to do, or is it going to be a second full length, or a combination thereof? And we haven't really come to a decision yet, as we are still pretty soon after Tomato Tomato. So, we haven't finalized that, but we have a bunch that we're hoping to put out soon.
We haven't really had like a creative writing weekend with the 4 current members of Hayloft yet. Because these songs are difficult to learn and difficult to play. And so we're on this past tour, Paul came up to us and he was like, this is the first time I played a show and I didn't have to think about it. It's like, hell yeah, let's go, And so I think we need to get to that point, and then, okay, we can dedicate more brain power towards creating and writing and stuff. So
with Tomato Tomato being relatively fresh, what was it like, doing that DIY marketing, and how did you find the reception to be from fans of old and new fans along the way?
I can answer this one really succinctly. Thank you, Topiary Creatures, to connecting us with Nash Grill. Nash Grill is a DIY collective in Nashville that kind of work as like a free booking collective. They take venues and bands and put them together. And so that's how we first started getting plugged in, So yeah, that's how it happened for us.
That's a really great collective idea. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It is. It is, and very well done too.
Yeah.
Not just a good idea. Yeah.
As the band is moving forward, I always like to ask this question just to see what those realistic aspirations could potentially look like. If, let's say, you were able to put together a tour with bands either you like that you think you could fit on a bill with pretty soon, or other bands in the scene, what would be that realistic stretch goal dream tour that if you could put something together in the next year or two?
That's a good question.
Like, who would be on the bill?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I love Bentley.
And yeah, Bentley was a huge influence for us. We would listen to that a lot for Tomato Tomato.
Yeah.
Touring with them would be
They're
very cool.
They're a bunch of Berkeley cats. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Oh yeah. I loved Bentley. Also, Land Animal era and
Yes.
Tiny Eye Babies.
You're seeing what I'm saying.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, funny story. Our first show was actually opening up for Bentley.
Wow.
Really?
our first ever show together was opening for them.
Yeah, and it's just because we had seen them a couple years before, and I was like chatting with them on Instagram about like the show the day after. I think I like posted a video, and then I became in their primary, inbox instead of the general. And so then now when I'm promoting my bands and I'm like, hey, can Hayloft open for you? Guess what? We go in the primary instead of the general. And so that's how we got the show. Were their bands better and more qualified than us? Absolutely.
Yes, there were, especially for a first show. Yeah.
And I know a couple of them by name.
Yeah. And a couple were at the show.
Yeah, they were. But anyway, so that was something that we got to do, which is a wild thing to say. It was very cool. Yeah, great people.
I gotta ask, like that. Obviously, I also really like Bentley. What was that experience like? Like, I would have probably been shitting a brick if that was my first show as a band.
Yep, it was that.
You would have had to join the line, man. It's funny. I don't really get nervous for shows. I love playing live. I feel most comfortable on stage. I feel more comfortable on stage than like talking to one person after the show. But for that show, I don't remember how my fingers were moving. I just, it was the first time we had played these after years of like prepping them and building them up. And then to play them on a stage in front of people was very exciting. And then adding into the fact that I remember we had a tech issue right before during sound check too, which we got figured out and it was great. But
the computer wouldn't turn on.
Yeah, our
tracks and our in-ears.
Our rig was not working for a second. And we got it working for the show, but I remember it put like a
stressy.
Yeah.
Stressy.
So I remember at one point during the show, I just took a drink from my bottle of seltzer that I had on stage, and I was like, please, like, aim for the mouth. Please just drink. And I think we played pretty well, minus I think one song was a train wreck, but the rest I think was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was just mindset, not great.
Have you had any similar opportunities where somebody was in town that you were a fan of and you got to hop on the bill since then?
These dudes from Chicago, they're called Night of the Rounds. They exclusively do metal covers of Final Fantasy songs.
That's pretty dope.
It was rad as shit.
They've got this whole light rig and like video. It's awesome. They do a lot of like the Comic-Con circuit and stuff. Like they're kind of a big deal in their niche.
Yeah, and that was a show that I kept saying, because we were tentative for a little bit on that show, and I kept saying, like, if we don't get it, I'm still at the show. I'm going to the show because it's rad.
And so a friend of ours a friend in the band was asked to be on the bill. They couldn't make it, so they passed it off to us, and we said yes. So that was really cool. Got Waffle House with those dudes the next morning before they hit the road back to Chicago, and we talked a lot about industry stuff. Great guys. Love those dudes. That was really cool. In January, I reached out to a venue, kind of a mid-sized venue in town called 3rd and Lindsley, because I saw their calendar and I was like, we might vibe with these bands that are playing, and so the bands were Lombardi and Flight Attendant. Flight Attendant just did like their 3rd European tour. Like they're
okay,
kind of doing okay. Lombardi's great. Those dudes rock. They were good. But unfortunately, it was like a live on the radio sort of thing that night, and there was not time enough to have 3 bands and like fully do transitions for like the time slot. And so they were like, we can let you do it, but like maybe just as a solo thing and off the air. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll do that. So that was just me.
Yeah, it was the warm up.
I was the warm up, baby.
But it was cool.
But we did it
again. Connections, all that good stuff, and it was still cool to share a bill with them. For our name to share a bill with them.
Yeah. But we've all independently done big stuff in the past. I did a USO tour. I went overseas and played like 6 countries. Dov was like a finalist for the IMA
Yeah, yeah.
affiliate.
We got some awards for studio work that we did for some people. Me and Mike used to have a studio together, so we worked on some pretty cool stuff there.
And then, like I said, Emilio's done a bunch of stuff. You can look him up on Wiki. And like,
He'll name drop. Yeah.
yeah, it just, you know, we've all done stuff, so we know. I think we have a clear idea of, like, I think where we can go. You just got to pay your dues, and you just got to keep doing it and not stop. So that's what we're doing.
That's such a great attitude to have, because I totally agree with you. I think you guys like sound great. I love the sound you got going for, and you know, just being accepting of like, hey, you got to pay my dues. That's like so much better of an attitude than most people would have about, you know, having to like, you know, lug all your equipment and then being told you got to be off the air and a solo performance.
Yeah, but it was great. You know,
Cool.
after the set, flight attendant actually asked me. She sent me a text. She was like, "Hey, so we're gonna go to Europe. Do you want to open for us for like a little while?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so she was like, "Okay, what's your number?" And she texts me their dates and their cities, and she's like, "Just pick a slew of dates." And I was like, "Oh, she's serious. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool." It ended up not happening because I couldn't fund it. But
Also personnel hadn't been. We were going through people.
oh yeah, we didn't have a drummer yet.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So-
But yeah, so you never know what's gonna happen until you do it. So
That's awesome.
by the way, flight attendant, if you're watching, yes, next European tour, let's
We're
do
ready.
it. Hayloft, flight attendant, we'd rock it. It'd be sick.
You guys have a drummer now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we do.
I really only have like one last question for you guys. Every time I talk to somebody, I always ask, if I were to come visit your city, what is like the one place that I would have to stop at to either eat, or like what restaurant, meal, whatever it is, like what is the one place I have to go and like eat at in Nashville before I leave? Which might be tough because it's Nashville, but
A lot of good food. It's tough, man.
I mean, there's the. This wouldn't be my actual answer, but there's like an honorable mention of like Nashville is known for the hot chicken, so you got to do that kind of. Our tourist spot is Hattie B's, but the good spot would be like Prince's.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay.
Prince's Hot Chicken, I guess, is the full
Mm-hmm.
name of it. That'd be a runner-up for me, because I mean I've done the hot chicken, so I don't know.
I think you could do worse than Waffle House at 2 a.m.
I was wondering if that was going to be the recommendation.
Oh,
No, there's a lot of good places, man. We've got a really good deli in East called Mitchell's.
yeah.
That place is fire. Riverside Grill Shack is great. I mean, everybody's moving to Nashville, so you've got cultures from all over the place. South Nashville is where it all is, dude. You can get like, you know, Afghani food, you can get Ethiopian food, you can get Vietnamese food, Turkish food, like all within a block.
Nice.
I
So
love me some 210 Jack, a sushi ramen place, with actually some really good drinks too,
yeah,
if that's your vibe.
I'd probably just give you that zip code of South Nashville and say just
Honestly, yeah.
just walk until you see like a language that you don't understand and go in the door.
Yeah.
That's the perfect answer.
Yeah.
You know, try something new, a little surprise. Just want to give you, you know, the chance to shill whatever you'd like to shill to the audience.
Yes.
So go crazy.
Sure. Tomato Tomato is our record. It's available on all streaming platforms, and you should listen to it. Please listen to it. Go follow us on Instagram, Hayloft Bands, at Hayloft Bands, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, we're there. Red Note, I think we're even on Red Note. I think I made us a Red Note during all that.
Way back.
Yeah, go follow us. It really helps bands like us grow and get to where we want to go. Yeah, and go support your live music and buy their merch because they need to pay for gas.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. You're awesome guests. Thank you so much. I really love the album. I can't recommend it enough. I know I kept bringing up my older brother. He is very important to me and put me onto a lot of music. So for me to be like, you need to listen to this band, that's my highest recommendation. Sending it to my older brother.
What's his name?
Eddie.
Eddie and Eric. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate you, buddy. And thank you, Eric.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Hello. Just wanted to pop in and say, big thank you to Hayloft. This was such a fun interview to do. I just kind of started talking to them and had listened to their album a few times, and like I said, it's like I couldn't even pin down the genre, and that's just something I loved so much. Like I can't recommend Tomato enough. It is easily a contender for one of my favorite albums of the year. Hands down, like I really love this album so much. I really think everybody should be listening to it. Please go follow them on Instagram and all the things. Check out the album. But big thank you to Kaiser and Dot for stopping by. Really kind dudes, really smart dudes. Like I really hope they continue on. I cannot wait to hear more music, and I really hope I get to catch a live show sometime. If you're out in Nashville, or if they're doing their Midwest tour, you have a chance to catch them. You really should. I feel like I can't recommend an artist enough. Like they are it. But yeah, big thanks to the guys for stopping by. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe and all those things. Yeah, I mean that's really it. Like I'm seeing Modest Mouse and Flaming Lips tonight, so that'd be pretty cool. And yeah, that's life, baby. I'll be back posting soon, so see y'all in the next one.